Hello there and welcome to Graphic Content. I am Grace.
I'm Lee.
And together we're Grace Lee.
I don't know if that works.
Oh, fair enough. We're here shooting an American Dream Comics in Bath so that we can give you the ultimate graphic content experience.
Try at least.
We'll try. We'll be talking about all things comics, all things pops, films, just geek culture in general, and anything you want to hear about as well.
But mainly about comics.
Mainly about comics, which are surrounding us like some weird comic temple. That's fun.
Yeah. That's the kind of temple that I would rather worship at, being honest.
Lee's going to go through our Marvel top 10. So what's your Marvel top 10 this week?
Just trying to give you a bit of an idea of what you may want to pick up out of the monthly comics that are out. Monthly books are the way to support the industry. They may not be quite as convenient as a trade paperback, but they're a lot more satisfying in a strange way. So yeah, but anyway, so counting down the Marvel top 10, I'm mainly a Marvel fan. I'm big on DC. Batman 89 is my favourite movie, but I haven't read a lot of the comics in the last little while, so I didn't want to do all comics chart and then only mention loads of Marvel stuff. So basically I'm just making it a Marvel top 10 and deal with it. So bottom of the top 10, bottom of the chart is Hawkeye. Hawkeye is the new title with the Lady Hawkeye who's taken over. I've not really been feeling this title, if I'm completely honest. I tried it for 3-4 issues and I don't know, there's Jessica Jones is just coming into it in episode 4, issue 4, sorry, and I haven't read it yet, so maybe it's going to pick up, but it's been a slow starter for me. I'm not sure whether they're trying a bit hard with the character in that, so and all the supporting characters and stuff like that, so it's so far, it was an interesting story about like someone breeding hate. It reminded me of an old story from maybe a Captain America comic from the 80s about someone who was breeding hate. It might have been Captain America. I think it might have been Captain America. I'll have to research that and maybe flash up a comic now if it's the one that... But yeah, there was a guy who made everybody hate each other. He had like some kind of maybe a resonating, influential vibe that changed people's attitudes and stuff, and it kind of reminded me of that. So it wasn't without its high points, which is why I'm mentioning it now. So you know, but it is at the bottom of the chart because it seems to have, over 3 issues, I don't know, you know, I'm holding on there. Anyway, then number 9 is Occupy.
Occupy. I've heard good things about this one.
Occupy Avengers is kind of the SJW A team, maybe the SJW team, and it's kind of like Hawkeye and Red Wolf and maybe a couple of others. His team is kind of slowly growing. That's part of the story as it develops, so I don't want to spoil too much for you. But they kind of wander around the country helping people who need help from, you know, maybe some big corporation is running some huge oil rig through some oil pipe through something and destroying the environment. They go and help or something like that. There's been some interesting things in it though. It's been cool. It's had a Hydra Man, who any old school fans will be pleased to see him about, and it's had the old school Nick Fury, which was very interesting. Yeah, the David Hasselhoff era.
Love a bit.
Not that that's really a thing, but yeah, just if you just saw that and you haven't seen the David Hasselhoff Nick Fury film, don't worry. So anyway, yeah, that's a good. But it's well written and it's interesting and it's a novel approach. And as I said, the A-team kind of structure of going around helping different people each week is good fun.
What's your number 8, Lee?
Number 8 is Great Lakes Avengers.
Yes.
Which, yeah, I mean, you say yes. I'm kind of like, again, it slipped down the chart. It started off really funny and I was really enjoying it. And maybe just its patter has kind of just worn off on me a little bit. And there's certain characters that are stronger than others. I really like Big Bertha and I really like Flatman, but I'm not so big on Mr. Immortal.
No.
And they haven't really done much with some of the other ones. I'm not entirely sure about Good Boy. I'm still working out what I think about.
I think we're going to wait for Good Boy Gone Bad, maybe.
Sure, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, but I mean, you know, it's still a different take. If you like a comedic take on comics, it definitely does that well. And yeah, it's all right. It's not a bad laugh. Hence why I'm still mentioning it. But it's not quite the prime, so you know. And it is, again, it's one of those that's kind of slipping out. If I'd done this chart 2 weeks ago, it might have been up at number 5 or something like that. So then moving on to number 7, it's kind of what I would kind of think of as a kind of, you know, mainstay of what I'd hope would be in my chart, which is The Amazing Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man's just finished off the Clone Conspiracy, which, despite being quite late on the clone storyline, I ended up reading that long after it actually happened, and more in the realms of kind of as a reading back, catching up kind of thing in the last couple of years. So maybe it's because of that proximity that I actually enjoyed this.
Yeah.
It's well worth picking up. If you know, it'll probably be out on a trade soon. But it's well worth picking up. It's got all the characters you could possibly want from Spider-Man's history, as everybody's reanimated as clones by Ben Reilly, the Peter Parker clone.
It's quite a popular topic in comics and general geek culture at the moment, the idea of clones and doppelgangers and...
Sure.
Yeah, so that's...
maybe it's because the world's overpopulated with them.
Maybe, perhaps.
So with the wrap of the Clone Conspiracy came the revelation from the Kingpin to Spider-Man, spoilers by the way.
Spoilers!
That he knew where Norman Osborn was, which was obviously of great interest to Spider-Man. So in The Amazing Spider-Man number 25, how is The Amazing Spider-Man on number 25 now? That's really confusing. But anyway, it should be on like 25,000 or something by now, surely. So The Amazing Spider-Man, the Osborn identity begins here. So this is, as you can see, Norman Osborn standing on top of a ton of guns and firing at Spider-Man. So gives you a bit of a hint as to what may be inside, but maybe not. Anyway, it's a pretty chunky issue, as you can see, but the actual story only runs to here. And then it ends up being a lot of other stories to do with Spider-Man by various different artists and writers. I've not read all of it yet. I've just read the main story. We've got the return of this rabbit girl who controls rabbits from the circus of crime, which I'm not particularly excited about because I read about her in Deadpool Back in Black, and possibly not one of the greatest villains of all time. But anyway, this is an extraordinarily priced $9.99.
Crikey.
Yeah, for a monthly title, which I think Marvel may be overstretching themselves with this. I realise it's an anniversary issue. I don't know whether that's a bit expensive. It's an okay story, but if I was, you know, a consumer and I looked at that thinking, should I buy that? I'd probably see that the main story only takes up a certain amount and go, well, when I buy the trade paperback, it's going to be just a tiny bit more, but that'll take care of all the other parts of the story as well. So I think Marvel would be wise to not shoot themselves in the foot, maybe for the long term, because they could lose another 4 monthly title sales off of convincing people that they may wait for the trade. So be careful, Marvel.
Sort it out, Marvel. Don't charge so much, Marvel. You're making enough money.
One of the titles you might want to look out for in April from Marvel is The Scarlet Spider. Okay, it's from Peter David and Mark Bagley, which should be really exciting. They did amazing stuff. Both of them have done amazing stuff in the past, especially in the 90s, and as a huge 90s comic fan, it excites me to see those two names together. Classic Spider-Man work, classic Hulk work, just tons to be excited about with that. Number 6 is She-Hulk, which is actually Hulk, basically. It's the Hulk title. She-Hulk is in charge of
Ooh.
is in charge of. She's the main character of the Hulk title because Bruce Banner is dead. Spoilers again. Civil War 2 saw a lot of big changes in the Marvel Universe. None more so than the death of Bruce Banner, which obviously the ramifications of that are kind of ongoing in both Occupy Avengers, where Hawkeye feels a lot of guilt for that, and also in She-Hulk, where she's dealing with the loss of her cousin. And she also died recently. Jennifer died at the hands of Thanos in the Civil War 2 as well, so she's come back slightly different, let's say. I mentioned this comic. It's not super thrilling. It's only about a few issues in, and they're going slow on they're doing a slow burn on the story. So you've not even seen any real Hulk action, which is a little disappointing. But I mention it because there's this interesting character who's this strange little girl or little woman who's been like kind of victimized or something, and she comes to Jennifer for legal assistance, but meanwhile at home she's being kind of protected or maybe influenced by a very ominous dark power, let's say. So it's one of those that's building, it's building and it could go somewhere. So it's on 6 because we're kind of, where's it going to go from here? Number 5 is Old Man Logan. This has been my kind of mainstay title that I've been sticking with since it came out from number 1, and it's been a rocky road. I didn't necessarily enjoy all of the storylines that have gone through it. I thought the Dracula one was particularly slapdash, like it had slapdash handling and it was very rushed off. And when you're going to have, like, first off, if you're going to have Wolverine against, or Old Man Logan against Dracula, like, first off, that's quite a cheesy idea. So if you're going to do it, then I think you need to go big and do it like just really full on. And they kind of, it's like they lost their bottle a little bit. So
does he dip his claws in garlic?
No, that would be an interesting way of going about it.
Maybe they should have written that in.
Well, maybe you could write for Marvel.
Perhaps.
Yeah, but I mean, with that kind of thing, you might be better suited to one of the comics we're going to mention a bit later on. But but anyway, so Old Man Logan, I did really enjoy the Last Ronin storyline. That was really good. And so now we're in this weird thing where I think they're wrapping up the storyline and they're going to send him back to the time that we find him in the original Old Man Logan Mark Miller storyline. So Kang's popped up and there's some time messing about going on, and I don't want to do too many spoilers, but it's all kind of coming to a head, so we'll see how that goes. Hence it being at number 5. It's it's right in there, and it's definitely a title that you can rely on. I think when there's so much changing in the Marvel Universe, it's nice to have a few titles that are going to pretty much have the same tone as you expect from them. Punisher is one of those. And most Wolverine titles, obviously bearing in mind that X-23 is leading the main Wolverine, all-new Wolverine title, then it's worth, so Old Man Logan's at number 5 for as long as he lasts. Number 4 is one that I want to talk to you about, Mosaic. Obviously, it's cool that Marvel are, when they are shoving so many people into already established, like replacing the old iconic heroes with but in the already established titles with new characters, it is refreshing, I think, to see a brand new character with a brand new story, brand new, something quite current.
He's a really current character, and I think he's a character that's really needed for a modern audience, I think, because he encapsulates modern day culture. He encapsulates a modern day culture whilst also having that sort of old school. He has a power that he can't comprehend, and the reader can't comprehend, and it's almost like you're both along on the journey together to try and discover what his actual purpose is.
Yeah, those first 5 are actually pretty good reading in the way that there's well, basically, just to give you a bit of background, he's a basketball player at the top of his game. He's got like a pop star girlfriend, T-Fleek, and his dad is his manager. And basically, when he's hit by the Terrigen Mist, he gets this power, and then he finds out that a lot of his life isn't quite what he thought, and he's also trying to deal with.
Out of place, one might say.
You could say that, yeah. And there's plenty of great guest appearances. Spider-Man, which I won't spoil for you, is really good.
Yeah.
And Lockjaw, which is possibly even better. Which
Not Keira Knightley.
No, Lockjaw from the Inhumans, and then later on some more Inhumans. So obviously, as is to be expected, when there's Terrigen Mist, we're probably going to get a bit of a lecture from Medusa. So
probably are.
So
super.
So yeah, great to see a new title. Yeah, I wish Marvel would do a bit more of this. It's nice to see inventive writing and all that kind of thing. So great stuff. Okay, so then number 3 is Jessica Jones, which we've both been reading. That's a parental advisory comic, be warned.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that much that's that worthy of that. I mean, obviously, it's an adult comic written in an adult way, but it's not specifically graphic or anything like that.
There's a bit of graphic content in there.
I don't remember.
There's a few wounds. There's a few sweary moments, I guess.
Okay,
I'd say if I were to rate it as I was rating it as a film, I'd probably say it was maybe a 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably say it's a 15.
Yeah, I'm obviously desensitised to anything shocking, so I'm all too au fait with graphic content. Yes, but I've been enjoying it. I like the character. I'm pretty down with. I don't know if I love how Brian Michael Bendis writes, but I'm very used to it by now. So it feels quite comfortable and natural the way that he lays things out. I do think the story was good. The whole story behind the first five, 6, 7, something like that. Yeah. All really good. Guest appearances from Captain Marvel, Luke Cage, which might be to be expected, Daniel Rand. Good stuff. Anybody who's a fan of the Netflix series will probably enjoy the comic, and it leads them quite nicely into the Marvel universe, which I think is quite useful. There's something really big bubbling under on there, but I really don't want to.
Well, yeah, it's something quite big bubbling under, but it also manages to be quite human as well. It has this sort of through-line plot, which is ultimately what makes them all the same, is that they do have these human feelings and emotions and problems. So I think that's what's really great about that comic, is it's a good read. As if you're not a big comic fan or you're not a big Jessica Jones fan, it's just a really good read as well.
Right, cool. Well, yeah. So check out Jessica Jones. That's on issue 7 at the moment. Lovely artwork as well. The cover art. Some of that is really nice. Especially number 7 is probably one of the nicest.
It's more watercolour sort of style, isn't it? There it is.
Down to number 2 on the chart.
We're down to number 2.
Number 2 on the chart is Man-Thing.
Man-Thing!
R.L. Stein. If you called me last week, I think this might have been number 1.
Why is it number 2 now?
We're on issue 2, and it's really strange.
Right.
Don't you think?
I'd say it's like it's trying to be. It's like a gritty world written from a children's author perspective, and maybe it doesn't quite gel, but R.L. Stein does that. He makes it quite PG, and then he will suddenly make it like, and now I'm going to scare you. So maybe we'll stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's not interesting, and maybe that's why it's still so high on the chart and not like flung straight down. Although Jessica Jones could have easily been higher. And Man-Thing, I felt like it was a bit harsh to drop it down too far, just because it's a bit odd.
Yeah.
But it is a really strange mashup of Marvel sensibility and Goosebump sensibility or whatever. Yeah. So it's still really interesting. Great covers.
Yeah.
Some pretty great artwork as well. I do really like the artwork, and it's a novel take on things, which is just as interesting. When a lot of comics follow quite standard kind of progression, like even as good as we were saying about Mosaic is, it still follows a standard progression of like an origin story. Whereas this kind of leaps in this strange world, and then when you think you've got your footing, it kind of yanks you back out again, and it does it a couple of times before you've even, and you're just kind of like still reeling. So it's almost like maybe they deserve a second read. I don't know. So Man Thing, keep on doing it. I'm really excited about just the thing of R.L. Stine writing at Marvel. I think that's a really cool, inventive idea, and I'd love to see more
Stine.
Well, no, I'd love to see more moves like that where they incorporate, interesting writers from all sorts of genres. Really, I think that would be an interesting idea
definitely.
to go forward. Not that I don't want, decent comic book writers to still be coming up through the ranks. I really hope that still happens.
What's your number one?
Number one, drum roll. Could it be anything else? But Iron Fist number one. I really like the Iron Fist series.
Yep.
I'm quite happy.
I concur.
I think anybody who's accusing it of whitewashing probably is not so au fait with what the au fait is probably the right word as well. Comics and their history, and probably doesn't know who Chuck Norris is if they don't believe a white guy can't master martial arts. So. I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I think people expect from a Netflix series, I think they expect kind of that HBO experience. It's like something different, really bold, really over the top. I think Iron Fist, instead, the things that it was bold with were its sensibilities, the idea that corporations should be held responsible for things, and interesting kind of concepts about the freedom of people and things like that. I think if it's not trying to do anything in a kind of banner poster kind of way and say the same way as Luke Cage did. So in that way, I feel like it's more of a standard series. I'm not hugely familiar with Angel, but I don't want to say Buffy because that's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really. But I kind of want to say maybe it's just your kind of standard series. I think if Iron Fist had been on the networks, people would have been going, it's great. But because it has so much to follow on the Netflix thing, and I also kind of wish that they'd done it in the order that they wanted to do it. So maybe it would have been protected from a bit of that fatigue.
Definitely. And I think also the issue is that, although old Finny Jones, he has got that a sort of following from his Game of Thrones audience, and I perhaps Marvel were kind of expecting that audience to move over, and they didn't. I
don't know if that's always the case with things. I think people, unless you're in the chosen few, you don't necessarily. It's more like, that person from Game of Thrones when you're actually watching it. If you know what I mean, rather than, obviously everybody knows Dinklage, but
Well, he would, I don't know, he would have made an interesting Danny Rand.
No, I'm not saying that he should have been. He's already been, what's his name anyway, so... in Days of Future Past.
That doesn't stop Marvel, does it?
No, sure.
Different companies.
Some of the times, they try, so Iron Fist's really good. The new comic is just out. It's got a great, it's got great art. It's full of action. There's just non-stop moves and stuff like that. And then he's going through a kind of, he wants to find something in himself. He's kind of on a bit of a Kung Fu David Carradine-esque wander around trying to find himself and re-instill his kind of Iron Fist powers and stuff. And he's going through, we find him going and fighting in tournaments, like street fighting tournaments and back alley tournaments, and then secret tournaments and stuff like that, and finding that he still nobody's giving him a challenge. So he, spoilers again, but you should go out and get this comic because I'm only telling you why it's sowing the seeds for something amazing. He gets invited to go over to this island,
right,
where he will take part in a really hardcore contest and then find inside what he needs to. So it has a kind of Enter the Dragon kind of feel to it, which could just be the greatest thing. Like Iron Fist, Enter the Dragon kind of. It started off a bit more like Lionheart or Absent Without Leave, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, but now it seems to be metamorphosizing into Enter the Dragon, which I'm completely up for. And who knows who might pop up at this tournament as well.
Who knows?
Maybe some awesome martial arts characters from the Marvel Universe. One can only hope. But yeah, I think it came out really strong, and it shows a lot of promise. So, and it's right on everybody's lips. So I hope they can kind of, you know, take this momentum and roll with it. And so Iron Fist is number 1 in my Marvel Top 10. That is the Marvel Top 10.
That is the Marvel Top 10. Thank you so much, Lee.
If you've got suggestions for what I left out and what I should have put in, or something I maybe should be reading, let me know. If you're going to say Daredevil, I am reading it. I'm a bit behind, so I'm catching up. We both of us read that awesome story about the serial killer who was an artist, and he was
dark.
And you know, great writing, dark, interesting stuff.
Don't read it before bedtime.
Messed
up dreams like I did.
But as you probably know, the Running with the Devil storyline has just started, so I intend to instead do a specific feature where I cover the Daredevil, Bullseye, Kingpin and Elektra sides of that story, and just do that as one little show for you. And also, yes, I haven't missed out on any of what's been going on with Inhumans and X-Men. I intend to do that as another feature because so much has gone on with IVX and now all the Inhumans new titles and the new X-Men titles. So that's all going to be in another section, so don't tell me about that. Just tell me about some other stuff that I should be reading. Hit me up, and if you like something and you can add to something I've said, put it in the comments section. So so thanks very much for watching my Marvel Roundup. Thanks very much, bye.